And so like what you're asking your boss to do is just lay out, like, let's get all on the same page about what I'm doing for you and what I'm not doing for you, and what you're paying me for and what you're not paying me for. And then let's get on the same page about like, are you going to start paying me for this stuff? And if you're not going to start paying for me, like, you're not allowed to be upset if I stop doing it. What's next, Moses?
Cool. Do you have any tips for how to ask for a raise?
No, none for you.
That's why I said these questions don't have subtext. It's important for our audience, okay?
Never ask for a raise. All right. If you have really, I think it's important for you to constantly demonstrate your value without asking for a raise. So when people are like, when you do ask for a raise, there's all this value that you contributed. So a couple of my favorite ways to do this are to send subject line emails. So things like the subject line is, we just crossed 100K. And then I would be the boss, right? And I would forward that to everyone and say like, yes, we were doing it. And then, they see where that came from. Or send emails that are like, coaching program is live, and I see where that came from. Or, just got a big content partnership deal. Tell us what you're doing. And your boss will see the dollar figures attached to that, like saved this amount of money, got this amount of revenue, saved this amount of man hours and whatever process it was. And yes, clickbait in real life, do that shit. Because your boss is going to forward it to their boss. And I think the extent to which you can make your boss's life easier is going to be the extent to which your boss is going to go to bat for you. And when you ask for a raise, don't position it as asking for a raise. Position it as your future at this company.
Yeah, so I'm going to presume for a second that we're not talking about our relationship with Moses.
Yeah.
And so it's a good question, right? Like, how do you ask for a raise?
So just like real examples. I don't know what you guys do. I don't know what your living situations are.
So here's what I'd say. So a lot of times you have a job description. And what I think you should do, so like generally speaking, the way that you ask for a raise is you have a performance review on a certain amount of time. And there's a separate discussion about like accelerating performance reviews, so you can ask for raises earlier. But let's assume that you have a performance review once a year. So here's the way that you ask for a raise. So you take a list of your job, what?
Do not ask for a raise in your performance review.
Okay, fine. So here, fine. I think my point still stands. So just let me make sure, okay? So here's what I think you should do. Like oftentimes your bosses will, like, when you get hired for a job, there's like a job description, right? So I'm like talking about, generally speaking, like a corporate or well-structured organization. So they have like processes for performance reviews and raises. And usually what happens if you work for like a middle manager, like they have to get the raises approved by the upper managers. So what you want to do is you want to take your job. And so basically for you to get a raise, you need to be able to make a strong case. And furthermore, equip your direct report to make a strong case for their direct report, right? Because like they have to clear the raises by their boss. So that's sort of what I'm assuming. So if that structure doesn't apply to you, then like, take this with a grain of salt. So when you get hired for a job, you've got a job description. So you take that job description and you put it in a Word document. And then like, throughout the year, you're going to do a lot of things that are outside of that job description. And the week that you do them, you make a note of it. So you keep that in a document and you kind of say like, okay, this week, like my job description is to, filter patients through the ED. And on this week, this person was like missing. So I ended up doing this work, and then I ended up doing this work. And eventually you sort of end up doing things that are outside of your job description. And I think when Kruti says demonstrate your value to the company, the key thing is that when you do that, you should keep track of it.
Yes.
Right? I'm not saying that you should get taken advantage of by the man. I'm saying if you do something for the man that the man is not paying you for, you write it down somewhere.
Right. The man owes you. This is his tab.
So the next thing that you do is, in terms of the stuff that you do for your job description, you write down how you have executed on that with as many numbers as possible. So what you do is you kind of say like, okay, here are the first 6 months of where I worked, where we processed 50 patients in a 4-hour period in the emergency room. After I came on, we've processed 56 patients in a 4-hour period in the emergency room. And then what happens when you go into your performance review, you have everything laid down. And then you take your document and then you like trim it up and you clean it up and you say, hey, I think I deserve, and if you don't do this during the performance review, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. But then you go to them and you say like, here are the reasons why I believe like I'm doing, like I deserve more money. And then if they say, oh yeah, we're sorry, we can't pay you. And then you turn around and you ask them the question. So I just want to understand. In the future, I did all of these extra things. In the future, so it sounds like you guys can't afford me to pay for this stuff. So help me understand, if you want me to continue doing this stuff in the future, is it a part of my job or is it not a part of my job? So in the future, if you ask me to do something and it's not a part of my job or I'm not getting compensated for it, like, do I have the right to say no? It's kind of a dickish move, can piss some of your bosses off, but I'm a little bit tipsy. And I think like you should lay it out to them that you are doing work that you're not getting compensated for.
Or rewarded for when you do it well.
Yeah. And just lay it out for them and just be like, okay, so like you guys are asking me to do stuff that's not a part of my job. So I just want to understand, are you expecting me to do this going forward? Because it's not a part of my job. And then you put it to them. You're not saying like, I'm not going to do it. You're not throwing a hissy fit. You're just asking them to like put their money down on whether you're doing something extra or not.
So
right?
The people that I know that have gotten the best raises are the people that consistently demonstrate their value, and it's never a surprise when they ask for more. If the performance review is the first time that you ask for a raise, that budget is already gone. Right? Your supervisor should have seen it coming, should know your value, should have already made that case for you, and your performance review should basically be the closure, the final step to solidify whatever that raise is.
That's good advice.
And I also think that asking for title bumps is probably going to be more effective than a raise. So if you are just wanting a raise, right, that means I want more money to do the same thing. But if you want a different title, that's when the stuff that Alok is talking about comes into play. I'm also doing this. I'm also doing this. I'm doing a lot of this. I'm doing it well. It's bringing in value. I think my title should include that. I think this would be the appropriate like salary bump. And then you can go from there.
So she brings up a really good point. Like, so I think the other thing is that you say that like, in terms of the title bump, the way you justify it is that, you know, you kind of say that like, I'm doing things that are actually not a part of my job description. So I would like a title that's commensurate.
To do them.
Yep. And so like what you're asking your boss to do is just lay out, like, let's get all on the same page about what I'm doing for you and what I'm not doing for you, and what you're paying me for and what you're not paying me for. And then let's get on the same page about like, are you going to start paying me for this stuff? And if you're not going to start paying for me, like, you're not allowed to be upset if I stop doing it.
Or no longer care about doing it well. I think there's a distinction to be made there, because every company wants somebody that's going to fill in the gaps and be happy to fill in those gaps. Those are the most valuable people in any company. But people that do that and then withhold it, I don't personally want around, right? Because that means that you were a team player and now you're greedy and now you're not. So I would say, how can we get my compensation structure to let me be the most valuable to you guys? Because right now I'm only bonused if I do this. So that means that if I could support, this department, which makes more money, but you're only compensating me to support this other department, I feel like that's not in the best interest of the company. I think that is going to get you a lot further. And the other thing that you have to do is impress your boss's boss. And that person is going to be the person that approves the budget for your raise. That is why the subject line emails are so important, because your boss, when you send that to them, they're going to forward it to his or her boss, right? So then your boss's boss is going to see, oh, Alok's doing such a great job. He pulled in $100K for this fundraising month. He has, stayed sober on 2 out of 3 streams this month. He, you know, whatever. Like, then if I send that out to like whoever, we don't have any overlords, thank God, right now. But when you send that out, you know, potentially Olive would get a raise. Would you like a raise?
Well, I don't get a salary, so it'd be
That's
nice to make a single dollar.
You will not.
I mean, I don't.
Send me an email.
Can I have like? I don't even want a raise. Could I just get a salary?
No.
Let's start there.
Okay.
How about $1 or another drink?
Maybe. We'll see.
No, can I actually have another?
No, I have brought you mint. I have brought you oranges. I have brought you ice. I have brought you a drink.
But you don't pay me anything.
Okay. Pay myself anything. Get me a drink.
Okay, I'll get you a drink.
Thank you.
But you make them better than I do.
No, you just said, what did you call it? Devil's diabetes?
It was delicious.
Oh, okay. All right. Is anybody else seeing this? Oh, but you know what? You should get drinks with your boss. Socialize. Let them get to know you as a person. Let them be invested in your life and your success. Also,
Have children with them.
No.
That's how you get them invested in your life and your success.
If you want a raise, hey,
If
I
you
understand a raise.
Just get your boss pregnant.
Except for you.
And
Nothing.
that's the way that you tie your boss and your future together is by having children with them.
Moses, we're gonna need an HR professional.
You need more than that.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay. Oh wait, do you really want me to make you drink? Because I don't
Yes.
know how you make these. They're so good.
Just pour it
Please.
with the wine bottle. Oh, for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sure you want that one?
Yes, please. I love you so much.
All right. I will be back.